I am calling for a vote to allocate $50,000 of HOA reserves to take immediate legal action against Mr. Holloway, she concluded, triumphant. We must stand for what's right. She looked out at the room like she was waiting for applause. What she got instead was me. My turn, the survey that shattered her world. I stood slowly and walked to the front. Thank you, Mrs. Peterson, I said calmly. That was a very creative interpretation of events. Before the HOA votes to drain our reserve funds, I thought I'd share some information of my own. Carol blinked. I saw it, the fear, the recognition that something was coming she hadn't prepared for. I opened my laptop. 3 weeks ago, I hired Precision Boundaries, a certified land surveying company. While checking creek bed stability for my memorial bridge, they also reviewed our property lines using updated GPS methods. Click. Slide 1. Side-by-side maps. 1987 survey versus 2025 precision survey. Turns out the original 1987 survey was off by 15 feet. The audience gasped. Carol paled. Click. Slide 2. A satellite view showing her stone patio and rose garden smack dab on my land. According to the updated and county-verified records, I said my actual property line runs through the middle of Mrs. Peterson's backyard. Her award-winning rose garden and luxury patio have been illegally built on my land. I paused. That's right. While she's accusing me of violations, she's been trespassing for years. Dead silence. I looked at her, but she didn't move. Just stared in horror at the screen. Now, I'm not asking her to remove anything. I'm not even demanding compensation. But before you all vote to sue me, I thought you should know she's been using my land without permission. Click. Slide 3. A scanned copy of my construction permits, signed by the county, the Department of Environmental Resources, and the EPA compliance officer. I wasn't trying to start a war. I just wanted to build a small stone bridge across the creek behind my house, a quiet project to honor the woman I loved and lost. But in the twisted world of HOAs, even grief requires written approval. And what began as a tribute turned into a battle against a woman who thought she was the law. Let me take you back to where it all began, 3 months ago, when my world was shattered. Sheriff Maddox leaned in. You're going to build that bridge. Follow every code. Film everything. Keep every receipt. Let her dig her own grave. And that's exactly what I did. I resumed work with my camera rolling 24/7. I kept every document backed up in triplicate. And I made sure every delivery, every construction phase, every small detail was logged, timestamped, and verifiable. Carol? She doubled down. She began showing up unannounced with measuring tape, claiming I was expanding illegally. She called for a community meeting to discuss creek safety, where she tried to paint me as a rogue builder ignoring environmental concerns. But what she didn't know, half the attendees had already visited my documentation website. Some had even brought coffee to my job site and offered help. That meeting? It backfired spectacularly. Neighbors started asking her why she was so obsessed and when she'd gotten the authority to speak for the whole community. The HOA president, who'd stayed out of it until now, finally stepped in and told her she was not acting on behalf of the board. But Carol wasn't done. She was unraveling and dangerous. 2 weeks after the ruined concrete, I came outside to find my workbench flipped, my tools missing, and fresh boot prints by the creek. Sure enough, the camera caught it all. Carol, in broad daylight this time, tossing my hammer into the water, kicking a wheelbarrow off the path. It was over. I sent the footage straight to Sheriff Maddox. He called me back the same day. Mr. Holloway, he said, get ready. We're ending this. The arrest happened the following morning. 3 squad cars pulled up to Carol's house just after dawn. She came out shrieking, still in her robe, screaming that I was the one who needed to be arrested. They walked her out in cuffs. Trespassing, destruction of private property, criminal harassment, felony sabotage. And that was just the beginning. The HOA board, embarrassed and facing legal exposure, immediately distanced themselves. They held a vote and removed her from all committees permanently. Then came the civil suit. My insurance helped me file for damages. Carol's actions cost her nearly $40,000 in legal fees and restitution. And the bridge? It was completed a month later. 12 feet of hand-laid stone, field rock, a bench under Helen's favorite oak tree, roses blooming up the railings, just like she imagined. I walk it every morning now. Some days I talk to her as I cross. Some days I just stand still and breathe. But every day I remember, she deserved this. And no HOA bully, no bitter neighbor, could ever take her memory away from me. Ma'am, you are in violation of state obstruction statutes, he repeated. This construction is fully permitted, and you are currently trespassing, interfering with heavy equipment operation, and endangering both yourself and others. Carol Peterson, the HOA terror, the self-appointed environmental avenger, froze like a statue. Her live stream was still going, her audience now witnessing the exact moment her fantasy of control was shattered by cold, hard reality. But I'm protecting the creek, she stammered, voice trembling. I'm on the HOA Architectural Review Committee. I have authority. Maddox calmly reached into his jacket, pulled out a folder, and handed it to her. This, he said, is a certified copy of every county permit for this bridge. Signed and sealed by the Department of Environmental Resources, the County Engineer's Office, and the Office of Public Works. He took a step closer. This, he added, pulling a second document from the folder, is a sworn statement from a licensed surveyor proving that your back patio and garden are built on Mr. Holloway's land you've been trespassing on for years. And this, he held up a final sheet, is the video evidence of you destroying property, scattering nails, and slashing construction materials. Felonies, Mrs. Peterson. Felonies. You could have heard a leaf fall. No one spoke. Not the neighbors. Not the kids sitting on their bikes in the driveway. Not even the birds. Carol stared at the folder like it might catch fire in her hands. Turn off the phone, Maddox said. Now. She obeyed. Then came the cuffs. You are under arrest for criminal trespassing, obstruction of lawful construction, vandalism, and destruction of private property. And with that, the woman who'd tormented me for months, who tried to stop a grieving man from honoring his dead wife, was escorted down the street in front of 50 stunned neighbors, her phone confiscated, her HOA authority gone forever. Epilogue, the bridge, the land, and peace. I finished Helen's Bridge the next week. 12 feet of fieldstone and love. There's a small plaque inlaid at the center arch. For Helen, rain or shine, we'll cross it together. Carol eventually accepted a civil settlement. She paid restitution, removed her illegal patio and garden from my property, and sold her home within 6 months. No one cried when the moving truck left. The HOA? They revised their policies, implemented ethics oversight, and created a neighborhood harmony committee, mostly in fear of another Peterson incident. And me? I cross the bridge every morning now. Sometimes I bring coffee. Sometimes I just sit under the oak tree on the other side and talk to her. But every time I cross it, I feel something new, peace. Because Helen's memory lives not in stone or permits or arguments, but in standing up for what's right. Her voice cracked into a shriek. You need to arrest him. He's destroying our neighborhood with that monster machine. I'm protecting our community from environmental destruction. Carol Peterson's words ricocheted across the quiet crowd of neighbors gathered at the creek's edge. Still clutching her phone, still live streaming like she was the star of her own movie, Carol tried to hold the moral high ground. But her performance was unraveling fast. I have HOA authority to stop illegal construction. I'm the one following the rules here. Sheriff Maddox waited, letting her dig the hole deeper. Then, calm and deliberate, he spoke. Mrs. Peterson, he said, I'm here at the official request of Mr. Holloway to oversee this legal creek work. He has full authorization from the county engineering department. He's on his own land. You, however, are trespassing. And you're obstructing lawful construction. That's a crime. The words hit her like a slap. Her posture deflated. Her face lost all color. For the first time, Carol looked afraid. The crowd, who had once politely nodded at her environmental rants, began to stir uncomfortably. Phones were lowered. People turned away. Her live chat, still streaming, was turning against her. Comment after comment. Wait, she's trespassing? Is she getting arrested? This backfired fast. Wait, Carol stammered. I'm trying to protect the neighborhood. The construction is illegal. Maddox stepped back, his voice calm but firm. Mrs. Peterson, I suggest you return to your property. If you continue, you'll be arrested for obstruction. She didn't argue. Not another word. Just stood there, frozen, broadcasting her humiliation live to the entire internet. Then finally she turned and walked away. The crowd dispersed. The creek was silent again. But I knew her story wasn't over. People like Carol don't take defeat easily. And the real bombshell, the survey I'd had done, was still in my back pocket. The next morning it came. An official-looking notice taped to my front door. Emergency HOA meeting, mandatory attendance, 7 p.m. Signed, of course, by Carol Peterson. Chairwoman. still clinging to her last shred of imagined authority. Agenda: motion to authorize legal action against Arthur Holloway for environmental destruction. She was trying to sue me using HOA funds. And tonight, she was going all in. The community center was packed. Word had spread fast about the creek incident, and it felt like everyone wanted to see what happened next. Carol sat at the front like a courtroom prosecutor. Laptop, projector, blazer. You could practically hear the steam coming off her as she shuffled through her self-important notes. She called the meeting to order like a general preparing for war. We are here tonight to address a grave threat to our community's environmental values and property standards, she began, voice a little too high, a little too loud. Her presentation began. Photos of the creek before construction. Photos of my equipment mid-project. Fake environmental charts, red arrows, and dramatic fonts straight out of a conspiracy theory blog. This individual, she said, pointing at my seat in the back, is destroying our community's natural beauty. He's using industrial machines to tear apart a protected ecosystem. No mention of permits. No mention of approvals. Just emotional appeals and cherry-picked photos.